Hello there, my friends. This is Spencer Michaud, and today we are going to be doing a Virgo Q&A question and answer session. We are going to be talking about some exciting fall offerings as well. Uh, been working hard behind the scenes, Virgo 2 style, trying to craft the best offerings for you and help you connect with astrology, the stars, mythology, astrological magic, all of those things. And I'm very excited to be talking about that today. So if you have any questions, please let me know. There's a link in the chat today to take a look at all of those offerings, and we'll talk about them one by one today. But if you have astrology questions, if you have it's the football season just started. You have football questions, let me know. If you have gardening questions, the environment, astrological technique, if you have questions about your chart, throw them in the chat today. Everything's on the table. Do me a huge favor if you could. Put question in all caps before it if you have something that you'd like to talk about. We'll also go through a little bit of the astrology for the next week and kind of prepare you for the week ahead as well. So, if you're here, do me a huge favor. Put your name in the chat or put your greeting in the chat. Let me know that you're here and where you're stopping in from, and so I can welcome you here. I always love seeing where you're stopping in from, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to have this global community. Steven's here. What's up, Steven? Nice to see you. How you doing, my friend? Steven the Jupiterian, joining us from, I believe, the West Coast, San Francisco. So nice to see you, Steven. Hope you're doing well. Rachel Olone is here. How you doing, Rachel? I believe Olone. I think I'm getting that right. From Ireland is stopping in. Says hello, Spencer and friends. Excited to be back with you after a busy weekend last week and for Virgo season, my favorite time of the year. Yeah, I really like Virgo season too. It is sometimes a grind and it's a lot of work, but I just feel like my focus and concentration is enhanced, and it's a great time to be able to take the harvest from the summer and infuse it into a form that can be preserved for the long haul. And that's something that I really value. So I think we can share our stories of how that's going for you today. All right, so it's awesome that you're here today, Rachel. Tracy is here. What's up, Tracy? Gorman says hello, lovelies. Nice to see you, Tracy. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And all the kiddos are doing well in school, I think, right now. I don't remember what grade they're in, but I hope they're doing well wherever you're at. Yes, nice to see you. Rachel says, I was able to read Braiding Sweetgrass outside in the sunshine today in Ireland, just as autumn steals in the sun finally appears. Awesome. That is super cool. I'm almost done with the book. We've been going through it as a book club. And man, it's life-changing. It is a beautiful book, and it is great to read that outside. I just recently set up a few lawn chairs that we got, they were recycled lawn chairs from the neighborhood, which was cool. We got a gift from a neighbor, and been sitting outside under a beautiful tree and being able to connect with nature. That's the best book to read in that circumstance. So that is really awesome, Rachel. I'm glad to hear that has been one of your activities for Virgo season. Tom is here. What's up, Tom Hines? Nice to see you. Says good morning, namaste all. Tom's joining us from, I believe, San Francisco as well. So nice to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well and that everything is treating you well. Rachel says, absolutely correct. Amazing detailed memory. That's I try. There are certain things that I can remember and certain things that I can't. I try to remember names and birthdays. Sometimes I'll remember someone's birthday even more than I'll remember their name. So that is something that my brain will latch onto. My astrologer brain's like, oh yeah, I don't remember your name, but you're a Pisces with a Sag moon and Virgo rising or whatever, something like that. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse sometimes. Rachel says the background chatter of birds was indeed beautiful, and I'm ever grateful for the book recommendation. Oh, that's great. It's so good when we can share knowledge with one another and share something that inspires us so that we can inspire other people. And that is a wonderful segue for some of the offerings I have for you here today. If you will indulge me for a little while, I'd be happy to answer all of your astrological questions as well, but I'm super excited to share some of these offerings that I've been working very hard on. So let's talk about that real quick. So we have some really interesting fall 2024 class offerings. We, of course, right now are going to be beginning Decan Walk 24-25. So I've been having an amazing time with my Decan Walk friends over the course of the whole past year. We have been together for a year, getting to witness each other's lives in great detail and be able to connect it with what's going on in the charts. We've been deepening our knowledge about the decans, about the myths associated, the tarot cards. We've been going over these webinars that I created for that. You get that as part of the Decan webinar. I've created a workbook for everyone as well. So this is just the chapter from Libra where we get to go along with the Decan Walk and kind of record your experience and share it with others. It's like a cheat sheet for the Decans as well. But it has been an amazing journey, and I've gotten to know some really good, I think, what will be hopefully lifelong friends during that. And just some really amazing, generous people who have been able to share their stories and their vulnerabilities. It has been a super cool experience, and I hope that you will join us for Decan Walk 24-25. We've got some really awesome returning alumni, a great group, and I would love it if you would join us. So check that out. That is the big year-long offering, Decan Walk 24-25. You get all 12 of my Decan webinar past webinars, 2.5 hours, 3 hours each, where I go through myths, tarot cards, etc., fixed stars. We talk about all of it. You get those as a download. You get the PDF workbook. You get the Decan flashcards to help you learn. And you get audio and video recordings. And so you don't have to necessarily attend every single one if you can't either. We're going to be meeting on the first and third Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if that's a tough time, I know it's a tough time for some people. There have been people that are following along behind the scenes and looking at the recordings as well. So lots of options with that. There's payment plans available as well. I know that it can be a little bit of a large outlay of money up front. So if you need a payment plan, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to set something up. We have people that are doing quarterly. We have people who are doing monthly. Happy to work with you on that. So that is Decan Walk 24-25. Like I said, super excited for that. A great group that you'll be joining. And we just get to share our stories. It's been, like I said, it's been an incredible journey getting to know people, but getting to know how their charts are going to interact. And for the people that are returning, we're going to get to see a whole new Time Lord. We're going to get to see a whole new phase play out and a whole set of different interactions with their charts as well. I'm also excited to announce a new webinar series called Dignity and Devotion, the 7 Traditional Planets. I'm going to be teaming up with my beautiful partner, Tanya Andrews of Third Coast Mojo, to be able to talk about the 7 traditional planets, especially their dignities. And when we're going to explore those planets, we're going to explore their mythology, we're going to explore how they work in a chart, we're going to explore the guest-host relationship, we're going to take a look at how they function in their own domiciles, in their exaltations, in their debilities, in their faults. We're going to see how we can remediate those things through ritual practice and devotional practice as well. And Tanya's going to be able to bring a really unique perspective on that because she has a breadth and depth of knowledge in astrological magic practice and has her own business where she has created all sorts of wonderful oils and soaps and salts and ritual practice materia that can help mitigate some of the challenging perspectives or challenging placements that you might have within your chart. There is going to be some really amazing bonuses with this too. So if you sign up for the Decan, the Dignity and Devotion 7 Traditional Planet series, we're going to have one on each traditional planet. We're going to start with the moon. The moon's going to start on October the 12th. The Decan Walk starts on Monday, October the 7th. And the first planetary webinar is going to be on the second Saturday of the month. So we're going to do the second Saturday all the way until January, the second Saturday of the month. But Tanya's put together this really amazing package, which is called the Supermoon Box Set. And she's going to do this for every planet. And you could see that on Third Coast Mojo right now, if you go over there and check it out. But she's going to be giving you a 50% coupon code off of the Supermoon Box Set if you sign up for the Dignity and Devotion webinar. So it's a great bonus to be able to get. If you sign up for all 7, you get 10% off, so check that out as well. Really excited about that. I really love working with Tanya, and if you've seen her on the channel, if you go back you can see some talks that we had together a few months ago now, but we have a really nice rapport. And I think that she brings a lot of wisdom, and I'm super excited to be highlighting her knowledge as well as sharing my research on the 7 traditional planets. So check that out. Well, friends, that is not all. We have another book club that is starting, and in this case, we are going to be diving into the world of J.R.R. Tolkien. If you have been watching the show, you know that I've been getting really excited about The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, the world of Middle-earth. It is a beautiful allegory and set of stories. The world is so deep. I'm just in awe of how Tolkien created this incredibly detailed history and world, and just really enjoying diving into that. And we're going to start at the very beginning. I hope that this will be a new book club series for the entirety of that Tolkien line, The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers. If people are still interested by that, we'll do the Return of the King. If we've got some crazies out there, we'll go down and we'll do the Silmarillion. It is going to be so much fun. And I've been going down these rabbit holes. You can see here, I've got The Hobbit here, the illustrated version, which is really beautiful with maps and whatnot. And I've been collecting, like as I'm off to do, some really, really cool material where we're diving into the background of Tolkien and the myths that inspire Tolkien and that story. I've even got the recipes of Tolkien, where maybe we'll talk about, how to cook second breakfast. So this is going to be super fun. I'm really excited. I hope you'll join me for that. That's going to be on the 2nd and 4th Mondays, again at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Like I said, if that time is troublesome for you, I tried to pick a time that the most people in the most time zones could attend. But again, you can follow along with a Discord group. We're going to have a Discord group for all 3 of these classes, each a separate Discord group, so that we can discuss and share our thoughts and reflections, etc. There will be recordings of everything, so if you can't make everyone, we'll still be able to connect. But I'm very excited about this, so check that out as well. And then finally, if you are a super fan, if you're like, I can't get enough of Spencer Michaud astrology and all these classes, there is a huge bundle that if you want to take the Decan Walk, you want to take all of the Dignity and Devotion 7 Traditional Planet webinars, if you want to sign up for the guided group study with The Hobbit, I'm offering a free bonus 2-hour Mythos natal reading when you sign up for all 3. So that's a $300 value. I hope that that's a generous gift for all of you. If you've been on the fence about getting a reading, I would just love to work with all of you. To me, you all are so supportive in this community, and I wanted to be able to give back and just, hopefully attract more people into these groups, because, you really make the groups for me. Your presence really makes it, and your stories and your perspective. And I hope that this will be helpful for you. So check that out. That is the fall 2024 class bundle. You get the Decan Walk. We work together for an entire year. You get all 7 Dignity and Devotion Traditional Planet webinars, and then you also get to sign up for the guided group study Hobbit Book Club. So check that out. That is on the website under packages. Go to the Book Now button. If you want to sign up just for individual things, super cool too. I know that sometimes not everyone has the resources to do all this at once. If you need a payment plan, I'd be happy to work with you on the payment plan as well. All right, friends. Those are my big announcements for the fall. Been working pretty hard on all this. And thank you so much for your support. And I've been talking to folks about and kind of just testing out the waters with some of this, and we've got some really some excitement around it, and I really appreciate all of the excitement and encouraging words. I know people have been asking for some more fundamental courses, so we're doing that with the planetary webinars. I just have a super passion right now for Tolkien and Middle Earth and the Lord of the Rings, so that's something that I wanted to pour my passion into, and when I get excited about something, I just go whole hog into it. And I've done that. And, the Decan Walk has been super successful too. And I've really enjoyed connecting with people. So I've taken that interest where there's sort of a specialty in what I do and been able to connect with people in that regard. So thank you for your support. And let me know if you have any questions. If you have any questions about payment plans, I have some ability to give some sliding scale. If the cost is just out of your reach and you really want to participate, send me an email and we can figure something out. And yeah, I would just love to work with you. So send me an email at Spencer Michaud, astrology@gmail.com if you want to work together. Or you can check out my website, spencermichaud.com, and you click on the Book Now button to sign up for whatever you're ready to. Okay, so I'm getting back to the chat here. Let's see. Ani's here. What's up, Ani? Nice to see you. Says, good day, Spencer and friends. Ani is asking, how is Mars and Cancer going for everyone so far? You know, for me, it's pretty new. I mean, we just had Mars moving into Cancer Thursday, I believe, and Mars is moving out of bounds today as we speak. I'll talk about that in a second. So far, as a Cancer sun, I just feel a lot of energy. I feel a lot of like, it's go for it time. Oftentimes, I have second-guessed myself a lot and hesitated to take action. And with Mars as my Time Lord right now and Mars moving into Cancer, it's just kind of like, you know what, let's try some stuff. Let's figure it out and if see what sticks. And, you know, it's just time to take action. I think we can plan and plan and plan and plan. But I think Mars and Cancer, if you have Cancer placements, just it helps you get over some of that hesitation. I will say Mars and Cancer can play out with some conflicts in domestic situations or situations where we might be looking for support or security. So that's something to look out for, but we are just beginning this Mars and Cancer journey. So we'll look at it together. We'll see how it goes as a group. Rachel says, I feel very hopeful at this new moon in Virgo. Am I too late to do formal intention setting? I've been reflecting a lot, but life has been kind of hectic. Rachel, I would say no. I don't think you're ever too late to set intentions. And I think that we are still in the new moon phase, and we haven't even quite hit the crescent moon phase, which begins in the wee hours of the morning in my location. It might be a little bit later in your location. So I do think that this is a great time to set intentions. I think it's a really important time to set intentions for practical things. How are you going to preserve your legacy? How are you going to preserve the abundance of the summer? What projects do you want to get involved in? What learning processes do you want to get involved in? All great questions to ask yourself. This is an amazing intention setting time. So the answer, I think, is yes on that. Ani says, I have stories already for Mars and Cancer. Lay it on us, Ani, and tell us what's going on. Rachel says, I'm going back to school to start a new course on Mondays, but Decan Walk through the year looks like a super offering with beautiful accessories. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Yeah, and if you can stop by on any of the things, you know, feel free. Don't feel any pressure to, but it would be great to have you. And maybe you have your Saturdays open for the planetary webinars. Just something to consider. Rachel says, lovely to see you and Tanya collaborating and sharing your respective wisdom and expertise. Yeah, it is. We have been talking about doing a collaboration like this for quite some time. And you know, Tanya has a full-time job. She's a farmer's market manager. So she just has a lot of her time spoken for. But we have been able to carve out time to work on this together recently and just kind of taken the leap. And, you know, she and I both have some high standards for our work. And, but again, she and I are in a really great place in our relationship. And I think that working together as a team, we've always been a great team, I think. And like I said, I'm super excited to be able to highlight more of her knowledge and expertise because she's a light in this world. And those of you who have had experience with her or have had experience with Third Coast Mojo, you know that she's good stuff. And if you've worked with her products, I mean, I wear a number of them every day, and especially before I go on and do these live streams. So it really is magical, and I'm really fortunate to have her in my life, and I'm excited to share her with all of you. Ani says, not so far, not sure. It's very early days. I think this is with Mars in Cancer, but shortly before the ingress, I got a nasty allergy outbreak in my face and the first time ever angry red patches, and I'm a Cancer rising. That's interesting, Rachel, right? If Mars moving into our first house, can be some kind of inflammation potentially with our bodies and etc. So this could be, yeah, when Mars, wherever Mars moves, we might be feeling a little bit like our blood's boiling, or we have this kind of, type of inflammation is a great word for it. It makes us red. We get these itchy rashes. But I do think that we need to pace ourselves with Mars and Cancer, because it's going to be there, I believe, until April with the retrograde back from Leo into Cancer at the end of the year. We aren't going to be done with Mars and Cancer until April. So whatever challenges we have to deal with, because Mars is in its fall in Cancer, so that there can be some challenges with this position. We are going to have to really think of this as a marathon and not a sprint. So sometimes when we're dealing with challenges like this, we have to be patient with the solutions to it as well. And also, I will say there's some really amazing Mars stuff in Third Coast Mojo right now. There's a lot of a beautiful Mars in Capricorn, exalted Mars in Capricorn, that might be a great mitigation factor for Mars in Cancer right now. So check that out too, my friends. That's a great way to work with that. Also, Venus material can help with this too. I know Tanya's got Venus in Pisces, Venus in Libra, Venus in Taurus stuff. She's got some new Venus and Taurus stuff coming pretty soon. So a little birdie told me I witnessed this ritual. So keep your eyes out for that too. Rachel says, also feeling a lot more vroom, get up and go. Yeah, Mars just really makes us do stuff. It says, I'm not going to think about it today. I don't need to hem and haw. I will say my experience as a Mars. Yeah, Rachel says, I'm picking up your Mars energy today. Yes. Yeah. It's been an interesting experience having Mars as a Time Lord since my birthday in July. I have Mars in the second house, the house of resources, money, spending, and making money, in Virgo 3, with passing on a legacy. I have noticed, especially with my resources, I've thought a lot less about spending money with Mars activated in the second house. I have a lot of cards I've been collecting for the Lord of the Rings card game. This is another reason I'm motivated to learn about Lord of the Rings, because this game I'm playing it draws upon so much of the lore, and I think I'll get an even greater appreciation of that game by teaching and learning about these Tolkien references as well. So I have some selfish motivations around it, but I just want to share that joy with all of you, because I know that there are Lord of the Rings fans out there, and I would be super grateful for all of you to bring your experiences of that too. It's just gonna be super cool going on a journey and being able to feel that childlike wonder that I think that we often do when we read great works of fantasy and fiction. But yes, definitely feeling that get up and go energy. Rachel says, loving the book selection. This could be my time to revisit a lost opportunity from my youth. Oh, Rachel, please do. I would love to have your voice and perspective in class. I think that the Lord of the Rings series has so many helpful allegories for life, and I'm really excited about comparing Celtic and Norse myths that inspired much of Tolkien's work with the Greek myths that we talk about regularly for astrology, because I think that there are ways to look at planetary archetypes from different cultural perspectives. And I really think there's a lot of great wisdom about how to navigate both the gaining of power and the time when we need to let go of it. And I think that there's just life-changing themes in those books. And it's working really well now there's a new series out, The Rings of Power. So it's in the zeitgeist. And I think that we're just it's really great teaching us how to deal with challenging times as well, and how to maintain our grace and our dignity and our commitment to one another. The relationship with the hobbits is an incredible one, and one of loyalty and devotion, and something that I very much appreciate. It also talks about the navigating the challenges of power, and really, even Frodo, spoilers, had some difficulty letting go of power, even with his amazing integrity throughout the journey. And I just think it's going to be super fun. And I really hope that you all join me for that one in particular. I would love for you to join me for all of it, but that one I'm very excited for. Yeah, let's see. Robin is here. What's up, Robin? Says, hi, Spencer and crew. Robin here from Healdsburg, California. So glad to be here. Nice to see you, Robin. Hope you're doing well, my friend. and hope everything's going well your way, and hope you'll join us for the journeys that we're about to go on. Okay. Yeah, Robin says, I'm super excited about your new offerings. Me too, Robin. I have I have been working really hard for over Virgo season on the back end to get all this together. A lot of the things that you don't see when people are putting together classes, there's a lot of little details that go into the scheduling, going into the advertising, going into the blog posts to share it with everyone, going into the back end, even just on the scheduling app, figuring out how to get everything to work on that end. So I'm really proud of the work that both Tanya and I have been doing in the last week or two, 3, 4 weeks. I think we've been planning this for a while. She's been great and been helping out a ton. And I'm just so happy to be able to share it with you. Rachel says, I'm visiting a lovely botanic gardens tomorrow. I may do a little ritual there in this gorgeous weather and time of year. Ooh, that is a great place to do a ritual. Check out Tanya's new moon like kit. Again, you can get 50% off that if you sign up for even if you just sign up for the moon, the Decans, the Dignity and Devotion 7 traditional plants, like just the moon one. If you want to sign up for that individually, you get the coupon code for half off of that moon kit. And there's some awesome stuff in there. Awesome stuff, friends. Like, I'm going to bring that up again because that super moon box set, super cool. Check this out. There is one bottle of Luminous Luna Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magical Ritual Oil, one box of Lux Abundance Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magic Conjure Oil, one vial of Luna's Garden Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magic Ritual Herb Blend, one vial of 7 Seas Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magic Ritual Salt Blend, one bar of Luna's Lather Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magic Soap, one Nightlight Exalted Moon in Taurus Planetary Magic Loaded Votive Candle, and every package from Third Coast Mojo comes with a special surprise or two. So in total, that's 2 oils, 1 salt, 1 herb, 1 candle, 1 soap, and a bonus item. So when you sign up, Tanya's going to send you a coupon code for 50% off. So take advantage of that. It is something that would be amazing to be able to utilize while we are doing the webinar and learning how to set up a ritual. If you want to set up a paper petition, if you want to set up a full offering to Luna. Tanya has been setting up these amazing altar spaces in various parts of our house over the last few years here, and it really is just she has become, I feel, one of the great magical practitioners out there right now, and I know that seems like high praise, but she's very shy, and I do think that she doesn't like talking about herself, and she doesn't always like being public. But I think that she is an incredible essence and orateur, and is a powerful, powerful, powerful practitioner. Let's see. Ani says, I have domestic situations for sure. Moon in Scorpio 7th, ruling the IC Cancer in the 3rd. On Mars ingress, Moon Venus also transiting South Node in my 6th. Neighbor verbally attacks my dog's character. Oh my goodness, Ani. Oh my gosh. Why would anyone want to attack the character of our cherished companions? Like, I'm sure that your dog is an upstanding character. That's tough, and that is always tough when our fur babies we feel like they're under attack. So I wish you a speedy resolution to that. Although I will say, again, with this Mars in Cancer energy, there might not be a speedy solution. We may have to have patience with that. What I will say with Mars out of bounds right now is that we should be very careful about getting into conflict situations with people. Okay, so this is something that will, here is the Mars out of bounds energy. Let's see. Well, I deleted that one. So, but as of today, Mars is moving out of bounds. And out of bounds basically means that the planet isn't acting under the realm of the king anymore, the solar king. It's a maverick Mars. And a maverick Mars in its fall can be much more unpredictable. So we may feel like we have a handle on a conflict situation, and it can very easily spiral out of control. And Mars is going to be out of bounds until the 18th of September. So again, be very, very careful about engaging in conflict situations because it might take an unpredictable turn. This was the the reason why some of the ancients were nervous about a planet in a dignity that wasn't thought of as favorable is the sporadic nature of a malefic planet like Mars or Saturn. When we can predict some of the challenges, we can prepare for it. And Mars in Cancer, Cancer is a sign that has one step forward, two steps back, sideways movement. So the attacks might come from a place that we don't quite expect, right? So we have to be real careful about all of that. But I wish you luck with that, and just take one day at a time and give that fur baby extra love, because they know when someone is upset with them, and you can balance that out with your love. Ani says, I was able to restrain myself and hold my temper because cooperation is necessary, even though she's wrong to act so poorly. Oh, good for you, Ani. I mean, that honestly, it takes a lot of mental and emotional discipline to do that. And I think that astrology can help us with this. Astrology can help us to understand when to hold back, when the circumstances are fortunate, when they might not be fortunate. I know for me, like if the conflict situation comes my way, I'm going to have to really take a number of deep breaths, and I'm going to have to make sure that I don't engage in a way that becomes destructive, right? Especially when you have Mars, in your conjoining your sun and things of that nature. But I think Mars needs a job. I think that this is one of the things we'll talk about in the Mars Planetary Dignity and Devotion webinar is how do we give Mars a job so that it acts as a tool of an implement of the field, a plowshare, rather than an instrument of war. So I think that when you put your energy towards something, whether it's exercise, whether it's a project, whether it's gardening, something like that, you're giving Mars something to do. And that can be really healthy. Yeah, I agree, Rachel says, I'm glad you're able to step back from the situation. It takes a lot of maturity and grace to do so. Ani says it's so good, astrology. It's so astrology good, and the timing was perfect, Rachel. Immaculate. Yes, absolutely. Venus came through in the clutch. Yeah, that's the thing I will say too is Venus is in Libra right now. Venus is in a powerful, powerful position. So I think that Venus is helping to mitigate some of the challenges with Mars and Cancer for sure. Yeah, Mars stole the show. I believe, if I'm looking at the chart here, Mars is in the overcoming square to Venus. So we'll take a look at that in a second too. I'm just cycling through some of these chart questions. Okay. Rachel says, my siblings all adored Lord of the Rings, but somehow I never dived in, perhaps to differentiate from them all. Really interested in Tolkien now, and it's certainly not too late. Just damn Mondays. Yeah, I really struggled with when to offer the book club. And again, I think it's challenging sometimes to find a time that works for everyone. Honestly, part of my selfish reason for it on some level is that since my partner does work full time, having 2 days on the weekends for us together has been really important. I've been really protective of that time. And I know that for the webinars, that was a time that worked for Tanya as well. So I wanted to make sure that I opened that up for the most amount of people. But again, the time, hopefully like with the people in Europe, the earlier time allows them to do something after work or something like that. But again, if you can't make it, there will be recordings, and I would love to have you in whatever form that you want to. And Discord, the Discord discussions have been really fruitful as well. So that is a great way to connect also. If the Aquarian sun in you wants to be the eye in the sky, like the detached but still present, all-knowing presence, Rachel, we would love to have you. Rachel says, my eyes are bigger than my stomach with events and commitments this autumn, which is a lovely problem to have. Yeah, that is one of the things with Jupiter in Gemini, right? Too many options. I've just kind of dived in. I had a lot of thoughts about how many things to offer at one time, but these things have been on my mind for a long time. And I know Tanya was really excited about doing the planet webinars, so I wanted to make sure that we dived in and just rode that enthusiasm as well. And the Hobbit stuff, that's just going to be super fun. And here's the thing. With any of these things, there's no pressure. This isn't something where you're going to be getting graded. If you can find some time to read a few pages each night, you're going to do fine. And I've set it up where we are going 8 sessions. We're going to read The Hobbit over 4 months. So it's not even like we're going to like have to cram it. We are going to give ourselves the space and the time to enjoy it, to discuss it, to dive into the myths, to dive into all of the influences. And I think that it's going to give us that space that we need to really engage with that material. I've done book clubs in the past where we did it in a shorter period of time, and it did feel like fitting it all in was difficult. But this last book club with Braiding Sweetgrass, I extended it, and I think it's been really a nice rhythm for sure. Ani says, "Ooh, I need this box set. Sounds so lovely." It is good stuff, Ani. I've been wearing that, the Moon in Taurus, because I have a Moon in Taurus, but I just love the way that stuff makes me feel. And it is really good. So it smells really good. The oil is so light. I believe it's like there's a coconut oil blend in it. It's just really, really amazing stuff. Luna Storm, what's up, Luna Storm? Nice to see you. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us here. I believe you had a question for me on that I wasn't able to respond to yet. I believe it was a football-related question. And I think as I've been thinking about what to commit to over the course of the fall, football had to kind of take a little bit of a side, it had to be cast aside on some level. I've been designing all these classes. I'm still going to watch the Green Bay Packers, but I think I am semi-retired from fantasy football at least this year. I got really into it last year, and it took up a lot of my time, and there were some moments where I was like, oh, this is taking up a lot of my time, and sometimes I was feeling a lot of a wild swing of emotions participating in that. And I think that I'm just going to enjoy being a Packer fan this year and not having to root against my team. They're playing in Brazil tonight, which is super cool. And I know that like the sports podcast that we were doing, I think that's on a little bit of a break too, because I think Adam is working on his book. He has a book that he's writing, The Oracle Speaks. So he's been doing all of that, and I'm not sure what Kip's up to, but I'm sure that he's got kids and dogs and things like that. But if you have sports questions, I'd be happy to answer them here. I did do a very brief look at the Super Bowl. I don't have a great answer about who might win the Super Bowl this year, but the Ravens, even though they lost last night, the Ravens have a lot of good dignity around that period of time. And honestly, so do the San Francisco 49ers, which is kind of tough for me as a Packers fan, because they've outed the Packers a number of times in the playoffs. I didn't see any super great aspects for the Packers, but I'm going to hold out hope that I'm wrong and that the Packers win the Super Bowl. But if you have a question about your team, let me know. I still very much enjoy sports and football. Just between you and me, I kind of shot my shot, so to speak, with one of my favorite Packers podcasters. His name is Andy Herman. Check him out, Pack a Day Podcast. And Andy, if you're checking this out, reconsider doing an Astrology of the Packers collaboration. But I kind of cornered him in a live stream, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. I don't know if we want to do that, but you go do you." So sorry to put you on the spot, Andy, but that would be super fun if you want to reconsider. Ani says, "Take me away, Tanya." Absolutely. Rachel says, "I'm a lunar child indeed, so I will certainly check that out." Go Rab Mil Maith Agath, as we say in Irish. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I don't have great Irish pronunciation skills. I'm just trying to read that phonetically, so forgive me for that. But yes, I would love to learn more of the phonetics around the Tolkien. He was such an incredible linguist as well. A lot of the Elvish speech is based on, I believe, the Welsh language. And I have a wonderful person I work with who is from Wales. And I just love hearing her speak, and like the R's that she rolls and things like that. I can't roll my R's. It's just something my tongue doesn't do. But it's really beautiful to hear that type of language spoken. Ani says, "I want to learn more ritual techniques. How do we sign up for her service and the box set?" That's a great question, Ani. Pinned to this chat, there is a link to here. I will show you. Thank you for setting me up for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here. Here is my website, spencermichaud.com, and this is the bundle. If you want to sign up for everything, you can click on the bundle. You don't have to do that, but you get a free Mythos natal reading if you do, a $300 value. Sorry, I got my sales hat on today. But you can sign up for the Decan Walk here too. And the 7 traditional planets, you can register here. You also, if you want to just sign up for the moon, you don't want to commit to all 7, you can go to the Book Now button here on the website and sign up for just the Dignity and Devotion, the moon. Okay. So once you do that, Tanya will be able to get in touch with you and send you a coupon code for her ritual box. So that's a great way to engage with that. If you sign up for all 7 though, you get a 10% discount. I believe it's $35 off. So check that out. But thank you. So yes, there's 3 different ways to learn about this. 4. Here's one with all of the offerings on one page. I also have, if you have questions about the Decan Walk, there's a post on my website talking about everything that we do in the Decan Walk. 2 live monthly webinar sessions, private members only Discord, workbook, flashcards, special downloads, 30 hours of pre-recorded Decan material. Okay. A great safe space to communicate with people. That's one of the main testimonials that I got, and I'll be posting testimonials soon for all of that. But you can see here the testimonials on this, talking about the beautiful walled garden that we create to be able to share our vulnerabilities, but also learn about each other in a way that it's hard to do any other way. A lot of the times we meet as a client and teacher astrologer maybe once or twice a year, but being able to see it play out over the course of an entire year and have that connection and contextualize these things in multiple ways, seeing how these aspects play out in multiple people's lived lives has been so valuable. For myself in particular, just learning about the astrology, but also helping us to support one another during some challenging times, for sure. We've had a lot of ups and downs in the group as far as people's just experience. We've had people lose people. We've had people grieving. We've had people have amazing successes and turn things around. It's been really an amazing, amazing group and experience. So you can check that out. That's the Decan Walk. You can find out more about the 7 Traditional Planets webinar series here on my website as well. Okay. So you can sign up for them all, but you can sign up individually as well. And then if you have more questions about the Hobbit, there is an individual post on spencermichaud.com as well. Here is the big supermoon kit that you can get 50% off of, mega bundle on Etsy. If you are familiar, 62 5-star reviews. I mean, I think she's a 5-star Etsy seller. I mean, people love Tanya's work, and for good reason. She's really good at what she does. So hopefully you sign up, Ani, and we'd love to have you in the webinars. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back. Rachel says, it's truly lovely that you commend her so well, and I know it comes from a genuine appreciation of Tanya's talent. Rachel, you're not kidding. I am so fortunate to have Tanya in my life. She's just an incredible person and soul. I'm spoiled. Like, she is an excellent chef, in addition to being a wonderful magical practitioner. So I've got my own magical oil like consultant in the house. I've got a 5-star chef. She's beautiful. She's funny. She works super hard. Like, I don't know what I did to deserve that, but she is an awesome person. She has a Taurus moon, Sag sun, Taurus moon, Capricorn rising with Mercury in the 1st house and mutual reception, with Saturn in Virgo. And I think the key and one of the keys to our relationship, she has exalted Jupiter in Cancer, and that's the host of that. The moon is hosting that. The exalted moon is hosting that beautiful Jupiter. So really a person of high integrity, and someone I just am super fortunate to be going on this soul journey with on a daily basis. So again, you all are going to love her and get to know her better through these things. And just check it out. Candy Corn, what's up? Nice to see you, Corinne. Hi, Spencer and friends. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Ani says, my dogs are amazing. The only one's behavior out of line is the neighbor. Yes, this sounds like Mars out of bounds. Need to get a grip and bite my tongue. Yeah, you know, I mean, we all go through those things. When here's the thing, the part of Mars in Cancer energy, Ani, is that mama bear, right? We can get very Mars uses the resources of Cancer, the moon, our security, the people we care about the most, and our intimate relationships. And when somebody talks ill of them or threatens them, that's when Mars in Cancer really gets like its ire aroused. So this person, you know, threatened or you know, was insulting some of your most cherished companion, your most cherished companion. So this is something that is not surprising to feel that way. But when we know that, we can turn it towards hopefully more productive means and realize that that type of thing can get triggered during Mars transits in Cancer. Corinne says, I have a few questions for you, Spencer. I was wondering if you could please explain the difference between a north node lunar eclipse and a south node lunar eclipse. That is a great question, Corinne, and I would be glad to do that. Let me just look here, see if there's any other things that I need to get to before I dive into that, because sometimes okay. Yeah, so I'll come back to all these wonderful comments and questions, but Corinne has a great question here. So what I'll do is I will bring this to the stage. So now we are looking at the chart of the moment. There it is. Okay. A north node lunar eclipse and a south node lunar eclipse. So north node lunar, let's just look at the next eclipse and see which one it is, right? So here is the next eclipse. We're going to be talking about this more next week. This is a north node lunar eclipse, okay? So here is the north node conjoining the moon, all right? So when we think about the north node has that little right side up hoop, okay, that is said to be related to Rahu, the severed head of a dragon or a demon in Eastern philosophy or Eastern astrology or Eastern mythology. And it is something where we feel like we have a desire. It is a point of increase, according to Hellenistic astrologers. There's various opinions on what type of planet it represents. It's not really a planet. It is a point. Some astrologers would describe it as the nature of Jupiter. I've actually seen other astrologers reverse it and say that the north node has the nature of Saturn and the south node the nature of Jupiter. But I tend to think of it as sort of like the nature of Jupiter, where we have a desire for increase. South node is a place of release and of decrease. Okay, so this is something where energy is being released from the physical plane, whereas the north node, some ancients believe that was sort of like the gate of man, where souls would come and incarnate, right? This is a place of a portal. I guess I hate that word in the New Age circles, but if there's anything that would exemplify portal energy, it's these eclipses with the nodes where we do have energy coming into manifestation. So I think that the interesting thing with north node lunar eclipses is that it is a flowering of something coming into the world, right? Of a desire also. Now, in evolutionary astrology, they talk about the north node as being like your future or something to grow into. The south node, something maybe from a past life that you are moving away from. I have studied the nodes in that regard in the past, but I've since kind of shifted my perspective on that, especially when it comes to thinking of one node as better or worse than the other. I think that the north node is thought of as more beneficial in Western society and civilization because we have more of a relationship with materialism, because we have in capitalism a desire for gain, for material gain. And that is how we measure success in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that that's how I measure success, but that's how Western civilization often measures success. So evolutionary astrology has grabbed onto that. And kind of said, well, the North Node, you got to move towards that. In the Eastern philosophy, it's kind of the exact opposite. Part of the spiritual tradition in the East is to release attachment. So they actually feel like the South Node is more fortunate because you're being able to release attachment to these things that keep us in this karmic cycle of samsara, or however you want to describe it. So if you think about a full moon lunar eclipse with the North Node present, it is a place of desire, it's a place of increase, it's a place of things coming into manifestation. Now, that being said, I think it's a balance between the two. I don't necessarily think that desire is a bad thing. I don't think manifestation is a bad thing. I think it can be a really good thing as long as it's balanced. As long as we are understanding that when we bring something into existence, there is a equal and opposite reaction of things that we need to release. Okay? That's living within the Tao. This is the philosophy that resonates the most with me, is Taoism, is that kind of flow state where we do have to have periods of rest. We do have to have periods of release rather than unchecked growth over and over and over again, right? This is the myth of exponential growth that I think is destroying our planet right now. And I've talked about that as someone who is trying to become a greater steward of the natural world. And we need to learn to be okay with the fall and winter seasons, not only of our actual natural seasons, but of our lives and of our cultures and of our gross domestic product and things like that. We don't have to have growth every season. Sometimes we need to let the ground lay fallow to rest and gain energy for the next cycle potentially. Now, when we have a South Node eclipse, let's see if we can find one here. Let's go forward. Okay, here is a new moon South Node eclipse is going to be happening on October the 2nd. So you just reverse this. If the full moon was very close to the South Node, the upside down U here, you would have a full moon South Node lunar eclipse. Okay, so this is one where we are having a beginning, a new moon of a release. Right? So this might be where we're releasing something, but it's the beginning of a longer process of release. If it was a full moon lunar eclipse on the South Node, it would be the peak of release, right? So this full moon lunar eclipse with the North Node is sort of a peak of bringing things into existence. This next new moon lunar eclipse on the South Node will be a beginning of a release period. So I hope that helps. And that you can see it in the chart here as well, okay? You always have eclipses when you have these, the North and South Node very close to the one part of the lunation if it's a full moon, and to the new moon itself when it is a new moon. Okay, all right. I hope that answers your question. And I love teaching this stuff. So we talk about a lot of astrological technique, especially in Decan Walk as well. It's not just sharing stories. We really emphasize connecting it with the chart itself. Okay, let's go back and see where we're at with the chat. So thank you for that, Corinne. Ani says, I'm prepared for continual engagement. We're going to cooperate whether she likes it or not. I'll behave good. I'm loving your process in the chat here of coming to terms with this Mars and Cancer conflict. It says, yes, I like this reminder to put Mars to work, to remediate. Yeah, and again, you can remediate not only with a better dignified Mars materia, like Mars in Capricorn or Mars in Aries. I don't know if that would mitigate Mars and Cancer so much, but maybe it will. Our mileage may vary with that. But you can also do it by utilizing the opposite planetary energy, like Venus, to be able to soften some of those things. So utilizing Venus and Libra oil. Tanya has some really amazing Venus and Libra offerings that really help with cooperation and being able to see someone else's perspective. That can help calm down some of that Mars a little bit. Rachel says, my course just got rescheduled to Monday nights. Otherwise, it would have been perfect. I know there will be another opportunity for something equally great. I just love to be able to join live. Yeah, Rachel. Well, yeah, we can't do everything, but I'm just glad you're here today. And if something changes, you change your mind, and you're like, I think I'd rather do Spencer's course. You're welcome. You'll be welcome with open arms, my friend. Candy Corn says, my other question is about horary astrology. I plan to learn horary on my own. What are the best resources for me to learn it on my own? I do have a solid background in Hellenistic and modern. Uh, Ani has a good answer on this. John Frowley, the horary textbook, is what I use. I actually love that book. John Frowley is an interesting character, but there's definitely some good stuff in there. I know Michael A. Bryant has some new material out. I believe he has a new series on horary astrology. He is really great at it. Let's see. Frowley's good. I mean, of course you've got the OG himself, William Lilly, and he in his book Christian Astrology he talks a lot about horary technique, and especially with utilizing regimentanus houses and whatnot. I think those three in particular are a good place to start. So those would be my recommendations: John Frowley, William Lilly, and check out Michael A. Bryan. I think he does really good work with that as well. Luna Storm says, so many changes in team personnel. Yes, right? Luna Storm, are you a Broncos fan? Am I remembering this correctly? Did my brain bring that? Seahawks? Seahawks or Broncos? I know you're either Seahawks or a Broncos fan, right? I have to be remembering one of those two correctly. So let me know in the chat if my brain brought that up correctly. But yes, we can talk a little football here today. Football's still on my radar. There's only so many things that I can dive into with the full force of my obsessive attention. And right now, it's the Lord of the Rings, the planetary magic, and the Decan Walk is kind of. I've done a lot of the background work on that. A lot of the work is done for that. So a lot of the Decan Walk is going to be just witnessing each other's stories and teaching material that I'm familiar with. But football, man, fantasy football kept me up at night, like trying to get people on the waiver wire. I would wake up at 3 a.m. and hit the button or something, make sure I got some dude. I was just I can't do that again this year. And I was successful last year. I won one of my leagues, and then I didn't do so well in another one. I will also say this, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't always like the person that I became when I was playing fantasy football too. So it's very competitive, and sometimes it can turn friends against each other, and I didn't like that part of it. And I think that this will allow me to slide back into integrity without feeling so competitive. It really stoked the competitive juices within me, and I regret some of my behavior in fantasy football. If you've ever seen this show, The League, that show's real. And there's some you can fall pretty short of the glory sometimes when you get really into this kind of thing. But I think this year it's gonna be different. Only good vibes this year. Ani says he is from Olivia Barclay School, citing Lily. Okay, so yeah, talking about Michael A. Bryant, right? So yeah, he's a disciple in that lineage. So I think he's a good teacher for that as well. And I think Adam does horary stuff too. That's where I learned horary, was from Nightlight. William Lilly for horary, but it's his own spin on receptions. Oh, I think Ani was talking about John Frowley as a Olivia Barclay School, citing Lilly. Frowley's great. I'm actually friends with Frowley on Facebook. He's been super nice. He's wished me a happy birthday every year for the last few years, which is super kind of him. And he has a really unique personality, but he seems like a sweet person. And his books are really great too. And that was the material the lineage we learned in the Nightlight School. Luna Storm says, I can't roll my R's either. No, I just can't do it. I wish I could, because it's so cool to hear it done. Tom says, go Niners. Oh, Tom. Oh, man. The Niners are a tough team for me to support, because they've been, man, they're, I think, besides the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions, I guess now, because the Lions are good. They didn't used to be, but traditionally the Packers have had rivalries with Bears and Vikings. But I'll tell you what, for any Packers fan who's being honest with you, the Niners have become the thorn in our side. It has been a tough road to hoe, but they got a lot of talent, and they got all their contract situations worked out, which is good for Niners fans. Rachel says, pronunciation was not too bad at all. It means 1,000 thank yous. Oh, this is going back to an Irish phrase that I butchered. So thank you. You're too kind, Rachel. Rachel says, "Go for it with the sales hat. You don't wear it often enough." Yeah, I try not to bludgeon people too bad with advertising for my stuff. It's never been something that's been overly comfortable for me, but I think when you have something that you believe in, it's okay to share it. And I believe in all three of these programs. I believe in Tanya in particular, and I love the Lord of the Rings. So I'm excited about all these things. I love the group that we had for Decan Walk. So the enthusiasm is genuine for these things. And again, I would be super happy for people to join us in whatever capacity they are able to. Painted Turtle is here. What's up, Painted Turtle? Says, "Hi, all. Hopping on a little late. What is this I hear about Lord of the Rings? I'm currently looking for another dog for my current companion. Their name will be Shadowfax. Oh, awesome. The name of Gandalf's horse. Well, Painted Turtle, if you are late, our next guided group study, aka book club, is going to be The Hobbit. And we are going to dive into The Hobbit, and we're going to talk about all of the myths and influences from Celtic and Norse mythology. We might look at the recipes of Tolkien, the philosophy of Tolkien. It's going to be awesome. I hope that this will be the beginning of a longer series where we go through the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, and maybe for us crazy obsessive fans, the Silmarillion. I know my guy Carl out there is a Silmarillion fan, and he's going to be joining us. I'm super excited for that too. So yes, check that out. You can find all of this on my website, spencermichaud.com. We're kind of answering questions about new fall offerings today. And yes, Painted Turtle, if you're new to the chat here, we have Decan Walk, a new 7 traditional planet, dignity, and devotion webinar series with each of 7 of them. So we have 7 different webinars. I don't know if I've made that clear. This is a webinar series. Each planet will get its own 2.5-hour webinar. And I'm teaming up with Tanya of Third Coast Mojo, my partner, who does awesome work to do that. And then, of course, we have the Hobbit guided group study. So it is going to be super fun. So I hope you can join us in some capacity or another. And if you want to sign up for all of them, you get a free bonus Mythos natal reading, which is a 2-hour reading. You get fixed stars, you get tarot cards, you get all of every planet in the chart is analyzed. It is my flagship offering, and I usually charge $300 for it. So I'm throwing that in if you sign up for all 3 of them. And there's payment plans. If you need a payment plan, reach out, because I'll be there, right? I'll be there to give you a payment plan, and I'll be there to make sure that you can participate. Because if you think that you can't pay it once, sorry, I'll stop there. I digress. Oh, let's see. Ani says, "Yes, Tanya's oil blends are tops. I am in." Nice, Ani. That is super exciting. I am excited that you will be there. Robin says, "I definitely want to sign up for the fall 2024 bundle. I definitely do need a payment plan. So excited for October." Robin, send me an email. Send me an email, my friend. And I will hook you up. We will make it happen, my friend. Ani says, "Love the Tao analogy with the flow of the nodes." Very wise, sir. Thank you, Ani. Studying the I Ching has helped me understand, I think, Taoist and Confucian philosophy on some level as well. I think that there's an influence there also. Being able to study those documents and the philosophy behind it has really helped me to understand nature in particular, because I think Taoism is very nature focused, and you see it using nature references. And just having a relationship with the I Ching has really helped me understand how patience and timing and when to take action, when to hold back. And it uses these beautiful metaphors of mountains and rivers and oceans and the sky. It's glorious. I love it. And it has really helped me through some very difficult decisions and choices and times as well. I use it quite often. I do one every single day. It is a real beautiful way of thinking about the world. I also recommend this book, The Tao of Pooh, which is Winnie the Pooh. If you want to learn and have an introduction to Taoism, it's a great book. I have the Day of Piglet as well. Sunny D says, "Do you know if we should be concerned about financial issues when Neptune moves into a fire sign?" That's an interesting question, Sunny D. Let's bring the chart up here and let's take a look at it. So here is our chart again. And when does Neptune move into our fire sign here, Aries? That's going to be March 30th of 2025. And you can see here Neptune will be moving into Aries. I believe Saturn will be joining it not too shortly after that. Should we be concerned about financial issues? Well, that's kind of hard to say, depending on what your particular chart is all about. If Neptune is your second house, maybe, right? If Neptune is moving into your eighth house, potentially, that could suggest a dissolving of any of those particular places within your chart. Since Neptune is a collective energy, I'm not sure about financially. I don't know if I consider Aries a financial sign. Every sign can be related to finances depending on where it is. But I do think that Neptune has a dissolving energy to it. It also has an energy of being able to see what we want to see, of illusion, of altered states of consciousness. So I think we may have an altered state of consciousness around individualism, around conflict. We might glamorize conflict. We might glamorize war. Or maybe we could dissolve conflicts and war. Maybe we rise above it. I think that there's a lot of different ways it could play out. I think just specifically for finances, though, the only thing I could see where Neptune moving into fire sign, Aries, etc., that could be difficult for economy, finances, etc. I mean, let's say Saturn and Neptune coming together in Aries does spell increased conflicts. Well, sometimes when we are in the middle of conflicts with each other, the financial picture gets a little murky, right? I'm thinking about some of the great wars in history. I'm not saying that this necessarily means a great war is coming. I sincerely hope that it isn't. But if something like that does start to become part of our consciousness, that could have an effect on global markets. I think that the only people that benefit from war really are the oligarchs that are creating those weapons and selling them to other countries. The people don't benefit. So I think that, we'll have to take a look at that more in depth. But I would say from a personal level, just be aware that the major financial houses usually are like the second, the eighth shared resources. I think it could also be true for like 10th house, depending on what your work is out in the world. But I'd have to see the rest of your chart. Ani says, I have Tanya's Glamour Magic Venus in Libra 1. I used it last night when I was fuming. Oh, good. So you already are practicing astrological remediation, Ani. That's excellent. And that was a good instinct. That was a good instinct to put that on when you're feeling an overabundance of martial energy. So good for you. It sounds like you're a natural. Luna Storm says, can you recommend any book rectifying birth time on a natal chart, trying to figure out someone's birth time? Ooh, that's a tougher one. Book with rectification. Off the top of my head, I actually cannot. I don't do a ton of rectification work. If someone in the chat is more knowledgeable about a rectification book, and this is rare too because I have a pretty big library, but no, I can't recommend a specific book about rectifying birth time. What I will say is rectifying birth time is tricky business, number one, but I think that you would do well doing a couple things. First of all, looking at zodiacal releasing and looking when Time Lords would shift over, etc. Looking for major events in the person's life coming to fruition. I also think that using primary directions can be really good for rectification. I have really found that really interesting events in someone's life come to fruition when the angles move on to natal planets. When you're doing primary directions, you have you move the chart 4 minutes of clock time for every year of the life, if I'm remembering this correctly. And this is something Martin Ganston's book on, I believe it's primary directions. That might be a good place to start. because then what you can do is you can advance the chart 4 minutes for every of clock time for every year of the native's life and see when these major events, ask them when these major events might have happened. And you can see like the ascendant coming to a natal Mars or coming to a natal Saturn, and that natal promise flowering. So that would be my recommendation on that, Lunastorm. And Lunastorm says, Seahawk, see? I have the weirdest things floating around in my brain. I can't remember even your first name, Lunastorm, but I know what team you root for. So there you go. I apologize if I can't remember your name, but it's easier if I see usernames that are the real names. Tom Hines says, isn't Frawley Vedic? If he has embraced Vedic astrology, it is probably more of a recent thing. I'm not super sure. I know that there is sort of a natural progression in astrological circles where you start off with like modern astrology and then you start learning about Hellenistic traditional astrology. And then eventually you a lot of those people progress into Vedic or Jyotisha. So it wouldn't surprise me if that has happened with Frawley. But as far as I know, that isn't in my sphere of awareness. Lewis Storm says, but I did like Russell Wilson. I wonder how his move to the Steelers will work out. Well, he's got competition from Justin Fields, who got traded to the Steelers as well. Russ didn't look very good last year with the Broncos, so we'll see if it was just a bad situation for Russ, or if Father Time is undefeated. You know, Russ is getting up there in age a little bit. Him and Aaron Rodgers too. We'll see how both of them bounce back in new situations. Ani says, question: what sources are you using to define a malefic or benefic enclosure? There seems to be some discrepancy on the definition, and I find it confusing. That is a great question. I learned about benefic and malefic enclosure from Demetra George, and I'm using her Ancient Astrology in Theory and Practice, Volume 1 and Volume 2 for that. So those are the sources for that. And in those books, she talks about benefic and malefic enclosure from both a bodily perspective. And here, I'll bring the chart up again just to show you this. Okay. So I don't have the exact thing up here, but let's say that this was Mars and this was Saturn. If they were on either side of the planet, that would be considered a bodily enclosure without another planet casting its ray in between these degrees. Okay. Because that breaks it up. Now, you also have what's called a malefic enclosure by ray. So let's say we had Mars here, and it was casting its ray on one side, and then Saturn was casting its ray on this side through opposition. That would be through casting malefic enclosure through casting a ray. Now, in this case, I believe we have, hopefully the sun's not in malefic enclosure right now. There's got to be something breaking it up, right? I think, well, look at that. Maybe I feel like one of these planets is breaking this up, but I could be mistaken. That's really fascinating. I wonder if we actually are having the sun in malefic enclosure right now as I'm speaking, because I'm not really seeing anything casting its ray to break it up. So a good question. But once the sun moves past this opposition with Saturn, then it will be out of that position. So that's casting it by ray, and then you have the bodily version. So I hope that answers the question. And I'm learning that from Demetra George, Ancient Astrology in Theory and Practice. I believe it's in Volume 2, but I could be wrong. Thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you, Corinne. I hope I was answering your questions correctly. Yeah, it's always fascinating to do technique for sure. Ani says, I'm not sure Frawley's natal astrology tradition, but he learned horary from Olivia Barclays. Yeah, he has his own kind of techniques too. One thing I think about Frowley is reminding me of another um, astrologer that recently passed, Jeffrey Cornelius, a beautiful soul who wrote an amazing book, The Moment of Astrology, talking about astrology as divination. And that book was a huge influence, not only on my teacher, Adam Ellenboss, but I really got into that book. We did a book club with it. It really opened my eyes to the fact that the chart can speak in ways that sometimes can be completely disconnected from that time and space. It can be its own omen. And that to me is really important, especially when we talk about technique. Because I think that sometimes we get so fixated, and it's very easy to do this, especially when you are beginning into like Hellenistic astrology where the rules seem very fixed. But I think that once we get more into this type of thinking with astrology as divination, the methodology becomes, it doesn't become unimportant, but it becomes less rigid. And Frowley he's mixing William Lilly and Barclay's traditional horary with some of his own technique. And at first that can be a little bit confusing, and at first that can be frustrating. But I think that the key is, especially when you're doing horary, is making an agreement with the divine or with yourself on how to utilize repeatable technique. Like if you say the moon is going to represent this, and then you make that agreement, and you have to use it every single time for it to work. And I know that some people will bristle at that and say, well, no, it has to be this, this, or this. But I just don't think that that's how the universe works, at least in my humble opinion. So I think that this is why we can see omens in like entrails, because they made an agreement back then to say, if this intestine falls this way out of the animal, it means this. They've made that agreement with the divine. So there are things like that. And I've recognized this like studying like animal symbolism. When you start to assign certain sets of meaning to an animal based on observation of their behavior, then that animal will speak to you in a way that can be very enlightening, especially if you keep consistency with it. So I hope that's helpful for that. Yes. Cite Lilly, no Frowley, not sure about Bryant. Yeah. I think Michael A. Bryant is a William Lilly stan for sure. He's from the Deb Holding school, which I don't, what is with, oh gosh, what's his name? Who's the disciple over there of Deb Holding as well? I'm forgetting his name, but he's an excellent astrologer as well. If somebody put it in the chat, I can't remember, but I met him at UAC a number of years ago. Wade Capes. Sorry, Wade. Like I said, I'll remember Luna Storm's favorite football team, but sorry, Wade, your name will escape me every once in a while. But yes, Michael A. Bryan, I think, is of that lineage as well, and maybe some of his own stuff. He's written some really great books. I have his book on Hellenistic astrology. It's really awesome. He's an awesome dude. I got to spend some time with him at the United Astrology Conference as well, and he's just super kind, generous person. Luna Storm says, I can't support Niners-Seahawks rivalries. Well, you and me both, friend. I'm kind of down on the Niners right now. But sorry, Tom. Pantero says, oh, nice. I love when you and Tanya work together. That's a great set of offerings. I love her energy. Yes, I hope that you can join us, Painted Turtle, for whatever you can participate in. We're going to have a great time. And super excited about working together, especially with Tanya, for sure. Corinne says, I took year 1 and 2 Nightlight. Yeah, so you were part of the alumni team, right? Yeah, so Corinne, we're a great place to learn astrology as well. And trying to continue on the lineage of Robert Schmidt, Demetra George, trying to put my own spin on things with the Decans too, and trying to carry on, not only those astrologers, but also Adam's legacy as well. I'm very grateful for my time over there at Nightlight as well. And I think there's a lot of crossover in our communities here. Raven says, Raven's joining late from a local sushi place. Oh, nice, Raven. That sounds delicious. Raven, did you see this? The Hobbit Book Club I know that you're a Lord of the Rings stan. Come on, Raven. You know you want to join. I think it would be really cool to have you in class. We're going to be studying the myths and influences of The Hobbit. Hopefully, it's going to be a longer series with The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. We're going to spend one, book club on each of them. And the Return of the King, maybe the Silmarillion. I'm just really into it right now. You would be a great addition to class. Check it out. Okay. We also have Decan Walk. If you missed it, Decan Walk 24-25 is starting in October. And then me and Tanya are teaming up on a 7 traditional planets webinar series. One webinar for each of the 7 traditional planets once a month, the second Saturday of each month starting in October. Hope you could join me for all that. And Raven, if you're just like, you want to do it all, there's a bundle for you. You get a free bonus Mythos 2-hour reading if you sign up for everything. You get 10% off the Decan's webinars, the planet webinars, excuse me. You get all the material from the Decan Walk, including 30 hours of Decan webinars. You get a 50% off coupon code on like a magic kit from Tanya that's pretty awesome. The Supermoon box set. There's gonna be a box set altar kit for every planet, folks, and you're gonna get 50% off every single one of those. So check that out as well. So, sorry, sales hat is on today. Candy Corn says, I might purchase a pre-recorded video. Oh, good. Yeah, check out the Decan's webinars. The Decans of Virgo is on sale right now, friends. So if you enjoy my webinars, or if you want to see what my teaching style is like in a webinar format, pick up one of those. They're 20% off right now, and that can give you an idea before you dive into all of it if that's something that you want to do as well. Corinne says, I love the Decan series from you and learning a ton. Nice. Thank you for supporting my work, my friend. It's so awesome that you are participating with that material. I really had a blast doing that research and connecting with the Decans, and I'm super excited. We actually, as part of the Decan Walk, we're going to be reading T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets together as well. If Austin does come out with his book, 36 Faces, that will be another textbook. I know that's a hard book to get a hold of. I have it myself, so hopefully I'll be able to be a channel for some of that information, channeled through my own experience as well. But yeah, check it out. Ani says, Sunny D, for mundane concerns, pay attention to Neptune, Saturn conjoining early 2026 for financial shifts. I'm predicting hyperinflation, but it could play out other ways. Good advice, Ani. Like wars. Yeah, that was something that was, again, when you see things coming like outer planets in Aries, the potential for conflicts does, there are some omens towards that. So we'll have to try to navigate it gracefully. Devin Malone, what's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well, my friend, and that things are going well with you. Neptune in Aries is positive. The group unified by a singularity or idea. Oh, I like that. Yeah, because it's the exaltation of the sun, right? You've got this place where things coming together and sharing our light and our will. I think there's positives to every planet position and negatives. So I think it's great to be able to help us to visualize a more positive future. I do not think that it is inevitable that we're going to have crazy financial or international conflicts with one another. We still have choices to make right now. And we as individuals, as we learn through the Lord of the Rings series, even the smallest person, even the smallest hobbit can make an enormous difference in the world. So please don't give in to despair, especially if you see the powers that be taking actions that you don't agree with or that are leading us to the brink of disaster. You still can make a difference in the world, even if in your local community, even with just the power of your own individual voice. We see this in the Lord of the Rings, and it's going to be so important going through this journey. If I follow through on the Lord of the Rings, if there's enough interest in that, that's probably going to take us through the very beginnings of Neptune and Aries for about a year and a half. We're going to be doing the Lord of the Rings as a book club for a year and a half. And we will be learning so much about how to navigate difficult circumstances gracefully while still maintaining our faith, our hope, our loyalty to one another, our sense of camaraderie and community, and our sense of grit and our stick-to-itiveness in the face of very challenging circumstances and times. So I think it's the perfect series to be doing right now, and I hope that you'll join us for it starting in October. Ani says it might be a big reset in the next phase of it. Absolutely, could be. I think we're already seeing that, Ani. Like with Jupiter and Saturn coming together in air signs, in Aquarius recently. That's really, to me, the big cultural resets. That's the beginning of it, are those Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions in a new element. So that's really, showing us a lot of the changes. And Pluto moving back into Aquarius will be a big moment as well. It's back in Capricorn right now. Yeah, thank you, Sunny D. Appreciate you. He says, I hope so, Devin. Neptune transiting my Venus then. Ooh, careful of not getting too enamored with some sort of love interest. Let's see. Kai is here. What's up, Kai? Carol Tebb's The Complete Book of Chart Rectification is good. Ooh, that's a good suggestion. Okay. So Kai's got us with the chart rectification. Carol Tebb's Complete Book of Chart Rectification. Excellent recommendation. He says, I don't know any rectification books, but Patrick Watson's Service. Never used them, but Chris promotes them. Patrick's really good. Yeah. So he might be a good resource for that as well. Every astrologer has their own specialties, right? People like Patrick Watson, does the chart rectification. You've got Michael Bryan, like Wade Caves are really great at horary. You've got Demetra, who's an excellent scholar of these traditional. She can literally speak and translate Greek, so she has that advantage. I've taken a real interest in the Decans and, being able to hopefully create community and intimacy with the group here. Everyone has their own specialty. So I think that being able to find your own niche is really important, and not feeling like you have to do everything, to that degree. You can delegate those things, and so having the self-awareness to do that, I think, is super important. Okay, Devin says Amy Green is an Austin Coppock graduate and does a lot of rectification. Another excellent recommendation. And he says, I have Demetra's books, just haven't finished them yet. Yeah, we did book clubs for each of those at one point, and went through all of them. The great thing about Demetra's books is their workbook style. So you're not only reading about ancient astrology, but you're doing it in practice. I think maybe if I were ever to do a fundamentals course of my own, these webinars are a part of that, but if I were to do like a year-long program, those would be my textbooks. And maybe we would go through those as a group together once again, because I just have that much respect for Demetra George's book, or just for her process. I just really love the way she lays it out. Luna Storm says, last season it seems players with Sag planets did not fare well. I hope this season will be different. Well, I got some bad news for you, Luna Storm. Jupiter's still in its exile in Gemini, so I don't know. And Saturn's still squared the Sag folks, so it all depends, but I'm not sure that's gonna... I think that the Sag players might get a boost next season when Jupiter moves into its exaltation in Cancer. So we'll see. But that being said, if a planet hosting a person's sun, is sometimes when it's in its exile, players can still have success. It's just they're having to overcome a lot of challenges. Ani says, Amy is an excellent and thorough astrologer. Highly recommend. Oh, good. There's another recommendation for Amy Green. Oh, yeah. I think I've seen some of her work, but I'm not super familiar. Robin says, there seem to be two Frawleys. John has some astrology books out there, and David Frawley. Ooh, I think I remember David Frawley, but his particular book is not ringing a bell. There you go. Tom's has a David Frawley as well. Sirius Black, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Which Frawley, John or David? We've been mostly talking about John Frawley here today, as far as a horary person that has influenced some of us. Okay. Devin says, Venus was breaking it by contra Antisha. So we have a little bit of delay on the comments. So we were talking today about a potential malefic enclosure of the sun, but Devin is pointing out that a contra antitia is breaking it up. That's cool. That's really interesting to see. Now you're having to go make a lot of leaps to recognize that. But Devin is very detailed with that, so thanks for pointing that out. It doesn't necessarily feel like the sun's a malefic enclosure today, so I'm going to go with that, Devin. Pain Eternal says, if you can guess the rising sign, putting the whole chart and whole sign ascendant, horizontal will help and does much of the work in seeing how a person's energy operates. Okay, and some other rectification thing. Look at all these beautiful comments here today. You guys are awesome. Robin says there are two Frawleys. Dr. David Frawley has books on Ayurveda and Vedic astrology. We've solved the mystery, thank you. And John Frawley has books on astrology. Okay, so we have David Frawley, who is the Vedic astrologer, and John Frawley, who is sort of a horary expert, right? Excellent. Thank you for solving that for us, Robin. Ani says, your perspective on divination settles well with me based on repeatable observation that's verifiable. Absolutely. Yep. I that is really important to me because, and I say that from experience, because not only have I seen that with my astrology, but I don't just use astrology as omen divination practice. I look to nature, I look to animals. I use the I Ching. I use tarot cards, and I have found when a truth wants to find me, it finds me through whatever means it is most convenient. And I really do believe that. And I think that it's helped me become way less rigid about specific technique. That doesn't mean we don't want to be detailed. And that doesn't mean we don't want to have repeatable technique. But there's so much hand-wringing about which house system is right, whole sign or Placidus, blah, 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 blah. I don't get into any of that. I use whole sign houses. It works for me. I understand that quadrant-based house systems are used for certain other things, and I can respect that as well. But I think that whatever you're using, doing it repeatable. Like, for example, when I do horary, I learned under using regimentanus. So I use regimentanus houses when I do horary. I did a horary for the football game tonight for the Packers. Packers got Saturn. The Eagles got whatever the opposite side of that is. I think it was they got the moon. So we have the moon in Libra for the Eagles, and the Packers got Saturn in Pisces. Doesn't look good for the Packers, but I'm withhold my judgment on that because I like the Packers and I would love to be wrong. Yes, Ani's bringing up Void Caves for us. Getting my memory back into. I think I'm 20 minutes behind on the chat here, but this is awesome that it's been so active. Pantero says, next I see the range of an untimed moon and see if I can decipher which moon they are in. I look up nakshatras to see if the energy is a good match. Oh, that's good. See, so many different methods. And just like there's so many different worldviews and perspectives, there's so many different ways to connect with I think, truth as well. Painted Turtle says, if the moon is between two signs, that is also helpful and can help you get a grip on the general timing or decan placement. The decans has really helped me with some of that rectification energy as well. I find utilizing the decans and asking questions that are decanic based could be really great. Raven says, oh, no, I haven't. It's in regards to the Hobbit. I'm a huge into the Ring of Power right now, so it might be a lot of fun. Love that you remembered I am a Tolkien stan. Yeah, you would be great for that class, Raven. We've got some cool people signed up for that, too, that are big Tolkien fans, or stans, as we like to say, in reference to the Eminem song, Stan. I'm hip with it, kids. I know this. No, I'm really not. But yes, I have been loving the Rings of Power. Don't spoil it for me. I'm only up to episode 3. I've been working very hard on getting these offerings out the door, so I haven't quite caught episode 4 yet, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. There's been some debate about things. The only thing that's rubbing me the wrong way with the Rings of Power so far is that the orcs had a baby or whatever. Or we're so concerned about our baby. Tolkien is pretty specific that orcs are just manifestation of pure evil, but they're trying to bring in some ambiguity in there and help us sympathize with the orc cause. but other than that, it's amazing, and I love it. Let's see. Thank you, Ani. Thank you, Kai. Unity Jackson, what's going on? That's an awesome name. Finally caught you live. Always enjoy your session, Spencer. Thank you so much. Thank you, Unity. I love this. I love the energy that you're bringing into the chat here today, and I'm glad that you are here with us as well. Ani says, I'm saving Decans of Libra for the end of the month. Looking forward to throwing down some tarot cards. Excellent. Yes. It is amazing to me how many ways we can connect with spirituality and how we can infuse meaning into these physical objects, you know? If I just pull a card right now, I got the King of Swords, right? We're talking a lot about new intellectual organization and starts today, like being able to face things head on in a very rational, sober way, right? It's just all sorts of ways that can speak to us. Luna Storm says, charts for a friend. I do have all kinds of events to use as a guide. I'm hoping to figure it out. Yes, absolutely. Okay, sorry. Ani says, do anticial rays count as prohibiting enclosure? Once I get to volume 2 of George's book, hoping to clear up some of the blurred lines. That's a good question, Ani. I'm going to trust Devin today to say yes, but I haven't seen anything specific about that, at least not from my memory in Demetra's book. I'd have to go and look that up. I think it's certainly possible, although it might not be as visible, because an Antisha is sort of like a behind-the-scenes aspect. So maybe there is something that is prohibiting it, but it's very behind the scenes. It's very kind of almost like a secret right now, right? Tom says, I made a spreadsheet of Demetra's examples and exercises, both books. I can make them available to all and her final master. That would be awesome, Tom. That would be an amazing resource for us. So you'll have to let us know where we can find that. That would be awesome. Spencer, the perfection sheet I sent can also be made available. Excellent. So yeah, Tom has been sending me some awesome stuff that he's been working on, and some really, really cool meditation pieces as well. These really, you should check them out on Etsy. You should throw your Etsy name in there, Tom, so people can find you. Can we reflect rays? That's a good question. Let's see. So we've got more Vedic stuff coming in the chat. Raven says, the plight of the orcs. Exactly, right? That was the only thing I was like, I don't know about that. Like, and to be fair, seeing the world in black and white and in all good and all evil, I don't necessarily think is something that I subscribe to. So I can understand that there are, because of my attraction to philosophies like Taoism, I see that there is a spark of the light within the dark and a spark of the dark within the light, and they're constantly flowing into one another. Oftentimes the people that are creating the greatest atrocities consider themselves the heroes of their own story. They usually do, you know. And sometimes people who are doing what they feel are doing negative things, sometimes it has positive consequences. It's always flowing, cycling around. So I can understand maybe some of the desire to humanize, to orcifize the orcs. But that really, to me, was not necessarily in the spirit of Tolkien. But that's okay. I don't want to be an absolutist about these things. The other thing that has been really frustrating is people getting upset about the diversity of the show. I think that's amazing, and in none of the literature are people so precious about what a particular person's demographic is in those books. So I think people need to super get over that kind of thing. Tolkien is for everyone, and I think that if we can have a small irritation about the orcs being humanized, I think that's fine. But other than that, I love it. I'm loving the show, and I love anything Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and I think there's so many amazing lessons in it. Yeah, please share, Tom, is what Ani is telling us. Tell us where we can find it. Okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity right now. Do me a huge favor, friends. If you could do me a favor, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to the video. We're going to take a little stretch break. We've been here for about an hour and a half. So if you haven't, easiest thing you can do is support the channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my newsletter. please subscribe to the newsletter because you'll find coupon codes, you'll find new class offerings, all sorts of cool stuff in there. Go check out my partner, Tanya Andrews, at Third Coast Mojo on Etsy. Go to my website, spencermichaud.com. There's some really, really cool fall offerings and some amazing package deals on the things that I'm offering. I've included a free 2-hour, $300 reading if you sign up for everything. There's payment plans available. Yes, you can still get the bonus reading if you sign up for a payment plan. You'll just have to put a small down payment down to cover the cost of the reading, but I'm trying to make it available for everyone. And I think that there are so many options. And like I said, if the time is funky, I know that it's not the easiest time. There will be recordings. You don't have to make every single one. You can participate via the Discord. If you are struggling financially, but you're like, I have to participate in this one thing, reach out to me. We can work out a small sliding scale for you. I want you to be able to participate. Astrology is for everyone, and I'm happy to work with you. Tom says, I'll put them on Etsy this weekend. Look for Hindsight Artworks. Okay, Tom, awesome. So yeah, you'll be able to find some of those awesome reference materials and some of Tom's really amazing work that he's doing with his meditation tools. Okay. So now that we've stretched out a little bit, I'll ring the bell one more time here. So go over and find Third Coast Mojo. If you want to support the channel, you can also buy a super chat today with the $sign in the chat, or go to Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com. What I prefer you do is just sign up for classes. Sign up for the classes. Join us on this journey. If you want to make a donation today, I would be super grateful, but I would love for you to join us and for us to be able to connect. Go check out the Virgo season sale for the Decan's webinars as well. Although, if you sign up for the Decan Walk, all of those are included in the price. Okay, so you get all of the 12 Decan webinars. You get the entire 12-chapter PDF of the Decan workbook. You get the Decan flashcards. You will get recordings of every session. We'll meet 24 times. We will get to meet 24 times over the course of a year. We usually go two hours or so. And if you can't stay for the whole thing, that's fine too. We share each other's stories. We see how the aspects are, this is for Decan Walk. We see how the aspects are affecting us individually. We listen to each other's stories. We support. We create a safe space so that you can share whatever you feel comfortable. You don't want to share everything in your life, you don't have to. You want to share everything in your life? We have people who share everything in their life. We're just here to be a supportive group and to learn how the planets are actually working in real time. How magical is that to be able to understand how they're working in our lives in real time and to be able to contextualize it? It can be life-changing. I'm telling you, friends, we've had some people make some enormous positive life changes over the course of Decan Walk 24-25. I'm just in awe of some of the work that people have done, and I'm so proud of the work that they have done and the vulnerability that they've shown and the honesty. Like, these groups are only as good as the people and the stories that they share. And we've had some just incredible people sharing their journeys, and it's been not only enriching my life, but we've been supporting each other and become really great friends over the course of the journey. So please, I hope that you'll consider joining us. When does Decan Walk begin? Good question. Decan Walk begins on October the 7th. So we will be starting on Monday, October the 7th, and I'll show you here. So if we go over to Decan Walk, I will bring this to the stage. So here's our Decan Walk, friends. Decan Walk, you can find this on my website, spencermichaud.com. It starts October the 7th, and we are going to be meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and meeting the first and third Monday of every month, okay? And we're going about 2 hours. Sometimes we go a little bit over, but you could stay as long as you want. You've got a safe, supported space to connect. You've got workbooks, flashcards, special downloads, 30 hours of pre-recorded Decan material. This program is for you if you want to gain an in-depth Understanding of fixed stars, myths, symbols, and tarot associations within each of the 36 decans. We'll spend an entire year working closely together with a supportive group as you move through each decan in the cycle. Embrace an embodied knowledge that will transform your astrological practice. Develop a relationship with this powerful set of symbols and stories that as you live in dialogue with them and discuss your experiences with others on the same journey. Learn concepts rooted in years of deep historical research, study, and contemplation, and professional astrological practice. Okay, so that is what we get. So here's a couple quotes. This is from some participants. Michelle says, I enjoyed Spencer's Decan Walk immensely. His breadth and depth of traditional astrology and the associated decans, along with the application to real-world events and personal experiences, was exceptional. Spencer is also very empathetic, kind, and wise. He was also a good listener and would throw in a dose of humor for good measure. I highly recommend this course to anyone considering the Decan Walk offering. Yeah, Michelle's awesome. So thank you, Michelle, for that. Appreciate you. It's been wonderful seeing your journey as well over the course of the Decan Walk. Jennifer says, I love Spencer's ability to create and hold a safe space to express life's hardships as they happen nearly in real time during this Decan Walk. I felt very safe being me during the ups and downs of this last year. The material is laid out very easily to be pursued and absorbed. Pre-recorded lectures on each decan went well with the reading material. There was no pressure to commit to extra content, and merely showing up was enough for me to learn more about how astrology affects me on a regular basis. I look forward to these classes, and I'm excited to continue this journey again for another year. Yes, Jennifer, I'm so excited you'll be back with us for another year. Jennifer has made awesome progress over the course of this Decan Walk, and I am super excited she's going to be joining us as well. And finally, Carl says, Spencer has crafted a thorough survey of the decans. The trip is enjoyable, but more importantly, he provided a safe space to deal with the more difficult aspects of life and its accompanying astrology. I highly recommend the Decan Walk. Carl's my guy. Love Carl. Carl's an awesome dude, and I'm wishing him all the best, especially with his dog Ollie, who is now in agility training. So, yeah. Some really nice people in this group that I've connected with, some very generous people who are amazing individuals, and I'm just really excited to be going on that journey with them as well. Payne Turtle says, ooh, that's good. By mid-October, Pluto goes out of retrograde and on its way back to where I want it. Aquarius, great time to begin a Decan Walk with friends. Well, join us, Painted Turtle. There is room on this train. We are going to be, on this walking journey. We're not going to be on a train. We're going to be hoofing it through the decans through an entire year. So reach out if you want to sign up for that. And if you need a payment plan, I'd be happy to work something out with any of you as well. Okay, so that is actually one more thing. Frequently asked questions. Sorry for all the sales pitch, but this, I do this like once or twice a year, so you'll have to forgive me. It says, I know I'll be missing a class or two. Should I still sign up? Definitely. We will have recordings of every class, and you'll have access to the Discord for questions and further discussion in between classes. Can I do a payment plan? Absolutely. Get in touch with me. We'll figure out a plan that works for you. I'm not super familiar with the details of astrology, tarot, etc. Is this class going to be over my head? No. All levels of experience and knowledge are welcome in this group journey, and everyone will be learning together. So wherever you're starting from, you're going to get some great info on these topics and will enrich your personal or professional divination practice. And that's true. We've had people of all different levels in Decan Walk, and I think we're meeting everyone where they're at with it. And we don't get overly technical with things, but we definitely are contextualizing it within the material. Are there required texts for the class? What if I don't have the book in time for the first class? What should I do? Well, friends, we will be utilizing T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets as our main text for this class. There will be also a PDF workbook that you will receive before the class begins to help you document your journey. Just sign up and get your textbook as soon as you are able. Our first class will be getting to know each other a little and laying the groundwork for our discussions. Even if you don't have your book yet, you'll be just fine. And that is true. Everybody's getting their material at various intervals, and, we'll figure it out. And like I said, if Austin's book comes out during the next Decan Walk, that'd be great. That'd be another resource that we can use. But Susie's book is amazing too, and really great reference material. But don't sweat it. This isn't a class where you're going to be getting like a crap load of homework or whatever. Just, engage with as much or as little of the material as you can process. Just your presence in the group and your sharing of your story, whether it's through the live participation or through the Discord, is going to be so valuable for everyone in the group. I already have some of the required Decan webinars from before. Can I only pay for the ones I still need? Absolutely. So here's another thing. If you already have the Decan webinars, I can deduct some of the cost from the Decan Walk. So send me an email and we'll get you squared away with a custom registration price that reflects the webinars you've already purchased. Please note that all the Decan webinars are required to participate though. So if you already have some and you're like, I already paid for those. Well, guess what? You can send me an email. I'll take the sale price of the Decan webinars off because that's what I included in the price. All the Decan webinars, the sale prices of that. And you can get a special rate. So it's just kind of a thank you for people who have already supported the work and want to go further with it and trying to make this as accessible to as many people as possible. Robin says, when does Dignity and Devotion class begin? That's a great question, Robin. I have an answer for you. Check this out. It's SpencerMichaud.com. This new webinar series, Dignity and Devotion, 7 Traditional Planets, begins on October the 12th. We're going to do the moon on Saturday, October the 12th. Tanya and I are going to be teaming up 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the second Saturday in October, October the 12th. And then we're going to do each subsequent planet in ascending Chaldean order until April the 12th. So we're going to have November 9th, December 14th, January 11th, February 8th, March 8th, and April 12th. And of course, those recordings will be available. If you have to miss one, you can watch after the fact. But we're going to be workshopping. We're going to be talking planets. We're going to be talking remediation. We're going to be talking magical ritual practice, talking myths. We could talk about how the planets work in guest-host relationships, how they function within the different dignities, their domiciles, exaltations, falls, detriments, triplicities, decans. However, we're gonna do it all. So check that out. So we start that one. All of these programs are going to start within a week of each other. Decan Walk starts on October the 7th. Planetary webinars start October the 12th. And then the Hobbit starts the week after the Decan Walk on October the 14th. So we're going to alternate Decan Walk and Hobbit. So if you want to sign up for everything, you can't get enough of Spencer Michaud astrology. We'll meet pretty much like first, second, third, fourth Monday. And then there will be some months where there will be a break. So there will be some breaks in there. But none of it overlaps. I set it up so that if you really want to participate in everything, you will be able to. And again, you can do as much or as little quote unquote homework as you feel comfortable with. Please don't feel pressure that you're going to be overwhelmed with the material. I would think the main thing that you would do if you sign up for everything is there will be 2 things that you'll do. Just your presence is helpful. You're going to have a moderate amount of reading for the Hobbit. So maybe about 40 pages every 2 weeks. I don't think that's unreasonable, right? 30 or 40 pages every 2 weeks. So if you break that up, that's maybe 5 pages a day. Not too bad. Plus you'll get into it and you'll be like, I want to read more. That's what happens when you start reading Tolkien. You will be able to do much of the learning for the planetary series at the workshop itself. And you'll hopefully engage with Tanya's kit and you can do things on your own with that. And then the Decan Walk, you can engage with the webinars at your own pace. Some people have dived into it right away. Some people haven't even watched the webinars and they come to class and just share their stories. So again, that is something that is totally up to you. You still will be able to benefit no matter how much extra free time you have for it. And so Planet Series, the moon, starts October 12th. And of course, the Hobbit starts October the 14th. So there we go. Okay? Okay. So, any other questions? I think we're kind of coming a little bit to the end of our time here today. If you have any more astrological questions, or if you have any questions about our fall offerings, speak now. we we have a few more things that we could go through. I did want to just take you a little bit through the next week or so and give you some insight into that before we go. So here is our chart once again. And we, of course, had the new moon in Virgo this week on the 2nd. And we're going to see the unfolding of that process. So the moon is going to be waxing over the next week. We had the Venus conjoining the South Node on the 3rd. Okay. So this is maybe I would say it's a reaping of what you've sowed type of thing, where you're kind of, if you've put some good things out in the world, now it's time to find the balance and equilibrium. I would also say Venus conjoining South Node in the first decan of Libra can speak towards letting go of some anger around injustice or unfairness, righteous indignation, because there is a spirit, and you'll learn this in the Decan Walk, in the first decan of Libra called the Uranus, which people prayed to in the past to punish people who had gotten away with a crime. So this is actually an excellent week to let go of some grievances that we might have, that we might feel are through some kind of unfairness. So remember, because South Node is energy draining out, so draining out some of our feelings of righteous indignation. Now, sometimes it's important and appropriate to have that anger, but other times we can get overwhelmed with it, and this is a good time to restore our harmony and equilibrium. We, of course, had Mars ingress into Cancer on the 4th of September, and it went out of bounds on the 6th. So this is something that we are experiencing now today as I'm recording this on the 6th. So we have Mars out of bounds now. Remember, we talked earlier about this, like Mars in Cancer is a little bit of a wild card because it is in its fall. It's in a place that's a little bit less predictable, and it is utilizing the qualities of Mars severing and separation in a place that we normally expect support, security, etc. So that's why it can be uncomfortable, because we would normally expect martial energy to be applied in different arenas of our life. And when it's applied to arenas where we look to for support, that can be very uncomfortable. And the out of bounds part of it is actually just kind of adding an extra element of uncertainty to it. Robin is asking, does the book club meet once or twice a month? Book club meets the 2nd and 4th Monday of every month. So we have Decan Walk the 1st and 3rd Monday, and we have book club the 2nd and 4th. So 2 times a month for book club for a total of 8 sessions for 4 months. Okay. And then once that session is done, we'll move on to the Fellowship of the Ring, hopefully, and then we'll do the 2 towers after that, and then we will do the Return of the King if we can sustain interest in that. I think we'll be able to. I think we won't want to stop. We want to go through this journey. I know I will want to keep doing that. But yes, 2nd and 4th Mondays for book club. So we have Mars at a bounce here on the 6th. And then we have Mercury this weekend. Okay. Oops, I don't want to go a year in advance. I just want to go one day. We have Mercury squaring Uranus as we record this, and it's going to perfect on Saturday. Okay, the 7th, you can see Mercury. This is, I think, the final square between Mercury and Uranus for this year, or for this particular phase of it with this retrograde and direct motion. And maybe you're feeling that right now. Maybe you're like, wow, Spencer is launching a lot of programs all at once. I didn't expect all this. I don't know if I expected all of it either, but here we are. And maybe there's some good surprises in there for you. And maybe you're getting some news that you didn't expect. It's a good time to break out of any crystallized ruts, to release some of our pride with Mercury in the 3rd decan of Leo, and maybe shatter some of our beliefs where we've become so fixated, especially due to pride. Maybe you've had a situation where you've been able to swallow your pride to be able to get past a challenging situation, and this Mercury-Uranus square can help us with that, especially communication. When we get to the 8th, we're going to have the Sun and Saturn opposing one another on Sunday. We're probably starting to feel that as well. So Sun-Saturn oppositions, sometimes it can feel like we're running into a little bit of a brick wall. We slow things down a little bit. Just be careful not to overestimate your ability with Sun opposite Saturn. in the second decan of Pisces. It is a good opportunity to apprentice and to learn. I think that the second decan of Pisces shows us where we might still need to grow and still need to practice our craft before we got to walk before we can run. So again, I think another great opportunity to learn and to join together with others in the sake of humility, in the sake of learning. And then on the 9th, we have the improvement of Mercury here into its own dignity, into its own domicile and exaltation. Super excited about that. I think that we're really going to start to see things start to move forward when Mercury and moves into Virgo and the sun starts to separate from Saturn. If there's any hesitation this weekend, I think it's kind of all systems go by the 9th. I think that's going to be a really nice aspect and a really great time to reskill. The first decan of Virgo is associated with the 8 of Pentacles, and it shows an apprentice working on his craft and learning the skills that he needs to bring about manifestation. So a great time to start new programs, etc. Whatever that is, maybe it's not here, maybe it's somewhere else, but it's a great time to start a new learning process. Okay, and of course we have that out of bounds Mars, and then Jupiter moves into Gemini 3 on the 10th. So you can see here, where is it? There's Jupiter 3. Gemini 3 right there. And let's make it a circle. So this is Jupiter moving into the area of the zodiac where we have the story of Castor and Pollux, right? The twins, the two twins, where one twin has to sacrifice some of his immortality so that the other can live. So we've got a lot of options. This was one thing that I was trying to be cognizant of is, hopefully I don't overwhelm all of you with options. There may be some things in your life where we just can't do everything, and I understand that too. So there might have to be choices that have to be made in our lives with Jupiter in the third decan of Gemini. I do think that it depends on what it is. Sometimes in my case, these classes were a priority for me. I haven't done a new offering besides the last book club in a long time. I haven't done a big new webinar series in a while. This was a high priority for me, especially working together with Tanya. We've been talking about this for a long time. Some things will have to go by the wayside for me, like fantasy football, for example. Last year during this time, I spent a lot of my mental energy figuring out my fantasy football teams. That was super fun, but trying to do that again this year wouldn't have been as productive as I would have wanted to. So that was something I said, I can't do that. I also decided that there was a program I wanted to do of my own, a learning program through Pacifica that was was a ecotherapy class where you'd be doing more books like Braiding Sweetgrass, and I just had to let that go too. Like I can circle back around to that. But you might have to make some of those types of choices in your own life too. Like maybe there are some things that you have to say, well, maybe Rachel says, maybe I can't do this other program because I got to go sign up for Spencer's Book Club. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just messing with you. But yes, choices for sure. Okay. Ani says, Jupiter, Saturn live in my first decan of Libra, subjected to injustice, and it's a difficult attachment. Discernment and letting go of unfair circumstances speaks to the South Node transit. Venus is the balm. Yeah. Because of when we started the Decan Walk last year and this year, we had a really heavy Libra influence in the group. A lot of people with Libra placements, and it was really interesting to really get to know the Libra placements, especially that first decan. We've talked a lot about feelings of that anger that come up and how people maybe mischaracterize Libra sometimes. Like, don't underestimate the ability of a Libra to get angry. That's a mistake that you'll make. But oftentimes it's anger at on behalf of somebody else, or anger at a circumstance that isn't fair. And we always we have opportunities to be able to move forward and to grow, even when we're angry at something that is righteous, right? But we have to learn what we can and cannot do, right? I think that's the challenge around it. What is possible and what isn't. Painted Turtle says, my perfection year is Venus ruled, and you're kind of delivering with Spencer's school here in the offerings. I don't think I could ask for a better manifestation of Venusian energy. Painted Turtle, that's exciting. Yeah, join us, friend. I'm in a ninth house perfection right now. I'm in a teaching house year, right? So I'm really excited to be diving into teaching. I've got Mars, my time lord, with the ninth house ruled by Aries in my chart. So I'm just feeling a lot of energy towards doing research and sharing my knowledge and finding meaning in life, and being ninth house is associated with teachers as well, and with teaching your knowledge in a kind of an orthodox way, in a systematic way. And I've been doing a lot of that, organizing my classes and creating curriculum and things like that. So I'd be super happy to be the Mars and Venus equilibrium balancer for you this year, Painted Turtle. And again, I'm a gentle accountability partner. I'm never going to make someone feel bad because life gets in the way. What we learned in Decan Walk for sure is that there's a lot of ups and downs over the course of one particular year of our individual lives. And what I say in class is that we are witnesses for one another. I don't always have the answers to everyone's problems. In fact, I most often don't. but what I can do is I can be a witness for your journey, and I can help contextualize what you're going through the language of the planets, through the language of the decans, through the language of the tarot cards and the fixed stars and the myths. And then you can find your own answers through understanding those omens, understanding those stories, and we can support each other through those real challenges. So that is what we're going to be doing, and you'd make a great addition to the group, friend. Ani says, this ties well with Mercury and Jupiter in mutual reception. Yes. Ooh, I like that. That was something I hadn't noticed upon first glance, but that is very beautiful. Mercury and Jupiter in mutual reception. So maybe we are trying to do a number of different things, but Mercury is actually going to be helping to facilitate that with grace. I love it. Ani says, righteous indignation for sure, for others and sometimes for myself. Absolutely. There's a lot of times when we can get angry on other people's behalf, especially the Libra parts of ourselves. Ani says, Venus perfection, what house? Turtle, treat yourself. I can't remember Painted Turtle's rising. I know Painted Turtle, if I remember correctly, you're Cancer, Sun, or rising. But I'm guessing Pisces or Sagittarius rising for Painted Turtle. But I could be wrong, and I'm not going to, don't hold me to that. But let me know if there's a weird place in my brain where I got any of that right. Okay. So, first quarter moon is happening on the 11th. Okay. So we're getting to the kind of the rubber hitting the road part. Okay. 19 degrees of Virgo and Sagittarius. It doesn't say that on the chart here, but let's, there it is. There's the exact first quarter moon. So really just trying to take all those details and bring it into some kind of unified whole, moving body and spirit to get to the finish line, to achieve the goal, trying to understand whatever process that we're going through and come up from our hard work, nose to the grindstone mentality to see where we're going. That's what we're seeing on the 11th of September here. Virgo too, the second decan of Virgo, can isolate themselves with hard work. I mean, it's really the hard, dirty work behind the scenes to create something amazing and beautiful. And it's a really necessary energy, but sometimes we have to come up for air. Sometimes we have to see the bigger picture, and this is a great opportunity to do that, to be able to bring something into manifestation. And then on the 12th, we have the sun moving into Virgo 3, okay, where maybe we're done with some of the harder work, but now we're trying to preserve that legacy, pass it on to the next generation. This is a wonderful time to see the results of your work. And as we see that, we're going to see the sun squaring Jupiter, okay, right as it's moving into the third decan. I actually like this aspect, especially because Jupiter is in the overcoming square to the sun, and we've got that nice mutual reception that Ani pointed out about with Mercury and Jupiter. I believe that was Ani that pointed that out. Yeah, nice. So I think that normally we have to really be careful of doing too much, but I think in this case, Jupiter is really helping to to pacify some of the challenges of that Jupiter-Sun square, being in that overcoming position. But I will say that, be careful not to spread yourself too thin with some of these things. And that's good advice for everyone. Okay. Friends. That's what we've got for the astrology of the upcoming week. I did pull an I Ching and an animal for you. And so let's talk about it. And let's see. So I did do an I Ching for Virgo season. And I got hexagram number 56, changing to hexagram number 34. And this is a hexagram called The Wanderer. And this is from Jack Balkin's book, The Laws of Change. Really excellent author and I Ching expert, Yale legal professor. What is the essence of Virgo season in 2024? And I got the wanderer, or traveling, unsettled, tentative, uncertain, in transition, exploring, trying new experiences, new classes. The wanderer is interesting because the wanderer is sort of it talks about decorum when you're in a new situation. It talks about being careful in new situations that are unfamiliar to you. Sometimes when you're traveling in a foreign place, you don't know all the customs, like the Packers right now. They're in Brazil. They've been advised to stay in their hotel because if they don't know the lay of the land, they don't know which places are dangerous and which places aren't. So Jack Balkin says you are in a position or period of transition. Things are not yet certain, and it is not yet clear how you fit into them or what your identity is supposed to be. The text compares your situation to that of a wanderer who is traveling through a strange land. The wanderer is a sojourner. That's a weird word. He does not expect to stay long, but he is not quite sure where he is going next. He knows very few people. He is not exactly sure what the local customs are or whom he can trust. He does not completely understand what is expected of him. Because his situation is uncertain, he is circumspect and cautious. He does not call attention to himself, and nor does he get involved in matters that do not concern him. He associates only with reliable and trustworthy people and does not get involved in anything underhanded or unscrupulous, much less anything that would get him in trouble with local authorities. Instead, he tries to learn as much as he can from his new surroundings, and in this way, he learns something about himself. Okay, so this is the initial hexagram. Okay. So, let's see. Painted Turtle says Cancer rising, Venus in domicile in the 11th perfection. Okay, so I got one of those things right. Right? I knew it was a Cancer something. Luna says, go Packers. Absolutely. Oh, yes, this was a fun live. Thank you, Luna Storm. Yeah, go Packers tonight. What's up, Deb Montgomery? You're joining us late, but good to see you, friend. We've been talking about fall classes, and we're talking about the I Ching for Virgo season here. So I am going to talk about that and focus for a second, but then we can answer a few more questions on our way out. So the first changing line says, if the wanderer dwells on trivial things, he brings calamity upon himself. So Jack Balkin advises us, do not try to win the approval of others by demeaning yourself or playing the role of the buffoon. This is important. I've done this in the past. I've tried to, especially when we're sensitive people, we try to pretend like we don't know things or aren't noticing things. As a Cancer sun, I notice a lot. More so sometimes than I would like to. but I think Jack Balkin says, instead, when you are in an uncertain situation, you should act with reserve and dignity. People will respect you only if you behave as if you are worthy of respect. Okay, so those are good. That's one part of this advice. The second line says, the wanderer comes to an inn. He carries his belongings with him. He obtains a young servant. He should persevere. So Jack then goes on to say, a wanderer should always keep his belongings, in quotations, with him. These are the things that properly belong to him, his values, his principles, his integrity, and his self-possession. When you find yourself in a strange or unusual setting, be modest and maintain your self-possession. You do not yet know the lay of the land or whom you can trust. For this reason, it is better to be too reserved than too raucous. Okay, so it talks about reservation. Feel things out first. And then finally, at the 9, it says, the bird's nest burns up. Sounds like Mars in Cancer to me. The wanderer laughs at first, but later he weeps and wails. Also could be Mars in Cancer. He loses a cow in the field, misfortune. So Jack goes on to say, this is a warning from Jack. Okay, ultimately, this is changing to a positive hexagram. So take this with a grain of salt and know that if you avoid some of these challenges, it can lead to great power. The bird's nest burns up symbolizes the loss of home and security. The wanderer has become careless and arrogant. Because he forgets the constraints of position as a wanderer, he laughs at first, but later weeps and wails. The cow is a symbol of docility, modesty, and adaptability. By forsaking these qualities which are necessary for survival in a strange land, the wanderer brings misfortune upon himself. So this is a warning that you should not overestimate or think about a situation before you really understand what's going on. Like, don't be too aggressive in new situations. If you become arrogant and inflexible and forget how to adapt to new situations, you'll become isolated and vulnerable. Okay, so this is important, especially when we start into new circumstances. You got to feel things out a little bit, you know. But this is changing. If we heed that warning, it's changing to great power, the power of the great, dominance, great strength, using your power wisely, uniting strength with justice. So he goes on to say, you have enormous power and influence on the situation now. But the secret to great power is knowing when and how to use it. And the moral responsibility of great power is to use it only for good purposes and not simply to attain selfish ends. This is a Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So this is something where if you find yourself in a position of power, use it to uplift others. The greatest leaders in history, the ones that are remembered as shining beacons of light, are ones that use their station and position not for selfish means, but to uplift others and to be able to benefit others and to advocate for others. The personal flowers will come, but if your intentions are correct and your intentions are collective, that's when you really can be a true light and a true great power. So that's what we have here for the Virgo season I Ching. Ani says, sounds like you need a good poker face. Yeah, maybe. Especially in a new situation when you're feeling things out. Like, just get to know people. Like, let's say we join in together in these new classes. Get to know each other. You know, get to know, feel the vibe out of the group. If you're coming into a new situation, like, it's important to, you know, be on your best behavior, you know, right? Like, give people the benefit of the doubt. Give people grace, you know. Yes, fitting hexagram for the transits, absolutely, especially with Mars and Cancer. If we might have some Mars playing out in some of these safe spaces. We're going to have to navigate Mars in Cancer in intimate groups, and hopefully we'll be able to do that with absolute grace and with peace. So I got an animal for you as well, friends. The animal I pulled for Virgo season here is the clam. We've gotten the clam before. There it is. Beautiful deep sea clam, shallow sea clam, whatever it is. It's got kind of like a beautiful, like, you know, evil eye here that's protecting. Clam is interesting. Clam is knowing when to be vulnerable and when to be a little bit more closed off. And I think that Mars and Cancer, you know, one of the main aspects that we talked about today, I think clam is a nice remediation for that, because there will be some times where we're in intimate situations and we will have to be a little bit protective of our sensitivity. The clam also teaches us, though, when it's appropriate to open up to others, when it's appropriate to share the most intimate, deep part of ourselves. You know, sometimes I'm a little bit of a private person, especially about my relationships and things like that, but today I'm opening up more and telling you more about like Tanya's amazing ability and whatnot, and singing her praises to the stars, because it's just time for her to have some recognition and for all of you to appreciate her the way that I get to on a daily basis. So, and just share more of our class type of enthusiasm. So this is a time for me maybe to open up more. Maybe there will be other circumstances in your life where it's more appropriate to be closed off. The other thing that clam does is it's fairly rooted. We had a hexagram that talked about being a wanderer, and this is sort of the remedy to that. Like, it stays in its fixed place, and it allows things to come to it. It flows with the tide. Sometimes Mars and Cancer will necessitate us to go with the flow. There will be some circumstances where our energy is one step forward, two steps back. Maybe we have to make some sideways movements, and having patience with that And rather than brooding about it with our righteous indignation behind the scenes, which can be a Mars and Cancer trait, being able to just understand that the flow of life has its own innate wisdom. And I think that is going to help us through these periods. That if you trust in life to have its own wisdom, you will trust that whatever is happening in your life is part of a divine narrative. And yes, you will have to take action sometimes to change the outcome. But you'll know when the time is right to take action and when the time is right to hold back. And this is why learning divinatory practices like astrology, like the I Ching, like tarot can be super helpful, because it can guide us to knowing when to take action and when to hold back. So the clam is going to be helping us with that. And just to go and take it easy with life. It is about protection. Mars in Cancer at its best is protective of the family, protective of the people we care about most, protective of our fur babies and our partners and our family and our group safe space. It is a mother bear kind of energy. So the clam can teach us about when to open up and when to be protective. So that, friends, is what I have for you today. Let's be like the clam and go with the flow. So, friends, you can find me over at spencermichaud.com. Just one last run through this. We have 3 programs starting in October. Decan Walk 24-25. Okay, you can find all of these at spencermichaud.com. It's a year-long program. First and third Monday of the month, starting October the 7th. Payment plans are available. Would love for you to join me. Dignity and Devotion, the 7 Traditional Planets webinar series. One webinar for each of the 7 traditional planets, where we're going to be talking about myths. We're going to be talking about the dignities, how the planets function in the guest-host relationship, and planetary magical remediation in partnership with my partner Tanya Andrews of Third Coast Mojo. Those are going to be the second Saturday of each month, starting on October the 12th. And then finally, we have a new book club starting on October the 14th, on the second and fourth Monday of the month. We're going to be doing The Hobbit. We're going to be diving into the Lord of the Rings. We're going to be diving into the Tolkien world. Hopefully it'll be a series where we're going to go over all of the great Tolkien works over the course of a number of months together. But we're going to start with The Hobbit. We're going to dive into the myths and influences. We're going to read it together. We're going to discuss. We're going to have a lighthearted journey, hopefully. We're going to, see some dragon hordes. We're going to climb some mountains. And we're going to go there and back again. All right. And of course, if you want to sign up for all 3 of the fall offerings, you get a free bonus Mythos 2-hour natal reading, a $300 value. Again, payment plans available upon request. So those are my pitches. That's what I've been working on. Go follow me over at Spencer Michaud on Twitter, on Instagram especially, and on Threads. And hopefully you'll join us. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you have the time and resources to, I would love to see you there. You all are an amazing community, and I would love to connect with you further. And feel free to email me at spencermichaudastrology@gmail.com if you have any questions. I would be happy to work with you. If you want to work out a payment plan, if you need a sliding scale, talk to me. We'll work something out, and we'll figure it out. So, thank you, friends, for participating today. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Ani. Thank you, everyone who's participated. I'm so looking forward to working with you all more in depth. And we will see you the next time. We're going to talk about the full moon lunar eclipse next week. So I hope that you'll join me there as well. All right, my friends. Take care. Peace.